Hey everyone! Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is April. I go by Ruby Rouge here on the YouTubes, and thank you so much for stopping by. Please consider liking and subscribing if you do in fact like my content, and always feel free to leave a comment. The best and worst part about YouTube is really the comment section, and I just really enjoy chatting with you guys about all the products and life and whatever's on your mind. So this series, Create Your Own Palette Project Pan, has been one of my favorites throughout 2020, and it's now ending. This is the finale. I'm finally getting to film it, and I just want to say that I'm going to play with the format as we get into 2021. I really enjoyed it too much just to let it go, and I had a lot of you guys tell me that you really enjoyed it as well. Like I said, this is my Pan That Palette, Create Your Own Palette series. That originally started as a way to combine my Viseart Cool Mattes, which was my Pan That palette for 2 years, with monthly picks to combine the Viseart palette with to make it just a little more interesting to pan. Look out for my Shop That Stash. I think it's going to be like a Shop That Stash Create Your Own Palette combo. It's planned to be one of my next videos, but since I've never done it before, I'm feeling like I might hit some snags, so it might not make it up that quickly. Okay, so let's finale this Pan That palette now. I mean, it's so funny to me that this is my finale after 2 years. So since last month, I have no new pans, but I certainly expanded pan in 1, 3, and 4. I also increased my dips in 2 and 5 and 8 as well. So see if we can get, yeah, so you can see that one's pretty close. I think that one might be hitting pan soon. Now I really want to show you the 2-year progression while I talk just a little bit. As we can see, this palette is not finished, and it's nowhere near being completely panned. It will never be panned completely. I think it would take at least another year, probably 2. My plan moving forward with this palette is to actually hit pan in every shade and then let it retire. So I'm going to pop it up here and there in some projects until I reach that goal, hopefully in the first part of the year. I enjoyed this palette. I really enjoyed this palette. I enjoyed the formula for certain. I'm planning to buy the updated version of this palette maybe next Christmas. I'm a huge Viseart fan. And panning this palette for 2 years and working on this palette for 2 years only made me more of a fan. So also worth noting was I uploaded my Pan That Palette, Pan Those Eyeshadows intro earlier in the month if you want to check that out and see what I'm doing for the year. And hint, hint, it's a tiny pans project. It is not Viseart. I needed something a little bit easier to actually like try to pan. This was crazy. I had no idea how hard it was going to be going into it. Okay, so let's compare day 1 in 2019 to where I am now. So as you can see, this palette was pretty much brand new when I started this journey. It had been used enough to know that I liked the formula, but there weren't really any significant dips. There were just some disturbances in the shadow here and there. You could tell it wasn't off the shelf. So after 2 years, I have panned in pretty much everything except for 3 shades. And the number 2 shade is probably going to have pan any day now. 5 and 8 still have a ways to go, but I really hope that I can manage it soon. That would just be like a nice, cool thing. At most, I can use both of those, make great eyeliners. So I will get there. So now let's look at the start of the year. So after the whole progress for 2019, I only had 3 pans. So this is what it looked like. So after a whole year, I had 3 pans. Now I only need 3 pans. So I actually hit 6 pans in 2020. So I kind of set myself up in 2019, like all the work that I did kind of set me up to be able to hit this many pans. But I mean, it's just crazy. Like when you look at these up close and especially in person, I mean, you can see that like I'm hitting pans, but they're not, you know, I'm not halfway through the shadows, some of these. So it's just, I mean, it's just, I don't know. For those of you who don't know, Viseart shadows are actually meant to hit full pigmentation in 2 swipes. They're actually made like that in order to stay blendable. So I felt like a lot of people were kind of getting into their Viseart shadows this year. So just in case you didn't know that, there's a little tip. And now, after that little random tip from nowhere, I'm going to move on to the create your own palette portion of this video. The inspiration palette for this month. So please watch, feel free to watch the last video. It was in November, December. If you want more of an explanation or a more detailed look at the palette, this is the palette that I created for December and for the first part of January. Honestly, this palette could go all the way into February and may do that depending on how many snags I hit. Like I said, getting this next version of the project off the ground. This is really a perfect winter themed palette for me. It's got my blues, it's got my pinks, it's got my smokies and my deeps and my grays. I really use the first 3 shadows here the most. I use them pretty much every day in every look to set my concealer and to create transitions. And I really ended up falling in love with number 4 from Viseart this month. I'm really not sure why. I hadn't figured it out before, but this is like my really perfect taupey neutral for me in the cooler months. It's a really, really easy look for me and a very, very easy look to wear. So I'm not sure how I had been like really reaching for this shadow in the past. I mean, I have a huge pan on it, so I've used it a lot. But it wasn't as the main shadow, and I really missed an opportunity there. And it's amazing to me that after using this palette for 2 years, I'm still finding ways to love it even more. I mean, that's crazy to me. I did do several gray looks this month as far as the second row goes. I was really feeling kind of a deep smoky gray vibe. I just kind of felt that. Maybe it's because I was a little depressed. I don't know. But, you know, I was just kind of feeling that deep smoky look. I think I also used the gray looks for a few videos that I filmed. Unfortunately, I didn't really feel like the photos did any of these looks justice. It can be really hard to photograph glitter looks, especially when the photographer isn't taking the time to like make sure that they're getting good photos. Me, the photographer, I'm the photographer. I didn't double check and my photos were blurry as all get out. I don't know what I was doing. So I really failed in this next row. I actually only either remembered or photographed 1 out of the 4 shadows, and that's this deep blue shadow from Viseart. It's really unfortunate because this green shadow at the bottom is one of my favorite shadows ever. Like, I love this shadow and I didn't use it. And I feel like this time of year is one of those times of the year that's just like the perfect shadow for Christmas. I mean, get out of here. Like, it's so perfect. So I hate that I missed that kind of opportunity to get some use out of it. But I really enjoy this blue shadow from Viseart. I thought the look turned out nice. This is a really, really nice formulation of a dark blue. Dark blues seem to be really difficult for companies to make. I've struggled with a lot of dark blues in my life because it's a shadow, it's a color that I do really like on me. I did use, I used the Charlotte Tilbury Prime, but the look was super mediocre. It wasn't the fall of the shadow. It was just me, and it was kind of similar to all the other pink looks I did, so I didn't add the photo in. Masquerade. One of my favorite shadows for the whole year and for a couple of years, and I had decided that it was going to have to be retired after this year because of age. It was just definitely getting old. But I did really want to hit some pan on it and just give it kind of the outro that it deserved. So I did this one shadow look with it, and I ended up really liking the look, and I'm confused as to why I just didn't do that more often throughout the year. But anyways, I also hit a huge pan on the shadow when I did it, and I went to photograph the shadow last night as getting, prepping for the update of this video, and I dropped it. And it shattered all over the floor. Masquerade is now effectively retired, and I'm a little bit sad because I didn't get to photograph the pan. So anyways, that shadow's gone. Charlotte Tilbury Smoke. Using this shadow really made me question my whole relationship with Charlotte Tilbury products. I really hadn't been that impressed. And then I used the shadow, and I was like, oh, wait. And then I actually ended up buying some more because of the sales during Christmas. I don't know that I'd ever really used the palette. I might have swatched it. I don't know. But anyway, so I finally got into this palette that this shadow was in, and I just loved it. I'm not saying run out and buy a bunch of Charlotte Tilbury products like I did, because I think that was probably dumb. I did finally get Pillow Talk lipstick, and let me tell you what, that is real mediocre. I do not know what the hype is about on that. It is like so, like it's an okay, I love the color, it's pretty, but like the formulation of the lipstick is so mediocre. Just saying. Okay, next up, Viseart number 5. This really is just an outer third or eyeliner shade for me recently, so I can't even remember if I used it or not. I used 6 and 7 with Charlotte Tilbury Smoke. I also used blushing several times. I've mentioned before that it's really not much of a standalone shadow, but it's just more of a blending shade, so I kind of reach for this one a lot. And you wouldn't even like see it in the look, kind of. You wouldn't even really know it was there. I did end up using Makeup Geek Simply Marlena a few times. It's another Makeup Geek shadow that I am retiring. I had a few that I had purchased all at the same time, and they all need to go. They've all been discontinued at this point, and they're just sitting in my collection getting older. And then this last row, honestly, I didn't even use it either. All right. So after filming through this update with you guys, I'm really feeling that I should hold off until like late February to do my new Create Your Own palette. My reasoning for this, and I've been kind of waffling back and forth, is I'm planning on creating my own Shop My Stash, Create Your Own palette seasonally. It's going to be like a seasonal quarterly type thing, and I'm going to create each palette for like a 3-month time frame that coordinates with the season. So like a winter palette, a fall palette, or winter, spring, summer, those guys, the seasons. And I was gonna go ahead and do another winter palette, but honestly, if I'm looking at this now, and this is really, really close to what I would be picking for my perfect winter palette. I've mentioned before that these are a lot of work, so I think what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna go ahead and start working on spring, or start planning for that, and maybe like late February I'll have a Shop My Stash spring edition Create Your Own palette. That's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And really, that's all I have for this month. It was a great project, a great year, or not so much a great year, but for the project it was a good year for the project. And I have a lot of projects that I committed to this year, and I hope that I'm able to find some great products to review for you guys in between project updates. I have some really good ones that I'm using now. Alright guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I really, really, really appreciate it. I appreciate your continued support. Let me know down below in the comments what you're looking for when you watch Shop Your Stash videos, because I feel like as I've watched, trying to kind of plan mine out, really anything goes, kind of. And I'm just kind of curious what interests you the most. Like, what's the thing that actually keeps you coming back for a Shop Your Stash video? What are you looking for? Because I'm going to add it into my videos is the plan. Alright guys, thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye!